So this is really important. Like, how have people treated you? Like, this is actually a legit question. I mean, some people just go through life just kind of doing their thing, never really slowing down long enough to think like, how do I get treated? And how do I actually want to be treated? And making sure that I surround myself with people who are going to treat me in the right way. Now, I'm not saying that you walk around like some kind of prima donna, expecting everybody to bow when you walk in the room and do this and do that. But I'll tell you what, every single one of you watching this video today, you know what? You deserve to be treated with respect. That is actually your entitlement. You deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve to be treated with honor. You deserve to be treated with dignity. You deserve to be treated like you are worth something, because guess what? You do. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Flourish podcast. And I want to take a bit of time here today to talk about braving the Barren. Now, when we talk about this idea of braving the Barren, I might want to suggest something, that this year might be about braving the Barren before it's about basking in the beautiful. And your Barren might be a bit different from mine, but we've all been in places, we've all had moments where nothing grows. We've all had times when the growth within our life is imperceptible, maybe in our business, maybe in our family, maybe in the people that we love, where we can't even see the growth that's actually happening beneath the surface. And so what do you do, when it's all barren? I mean, what do you do when you can't really see the growth, when you can't really see the growth that is critical in terms of results, in terms of outcomes, in terms of new events, new happenings, new increase within your life? Well, you have to find a way to brave the Barren. You have to find a way to get through the storm, even if the storm is still going on. And, one of the things that I think is really important to notice here today is that we all have areas of barrenness within our life. I mean, that could be in your physical health right now. It could be in your relationships. Maybe you're dealing with loneliness. Maybe in your business, you're dealing with a sense of struggle. But I'll tell you what, I want to focus here today on braving what I call a barren self-concept. Now, what is a barren self-concept? A barren self-concept is fundamentally dealing with insecurity. It's this place in which you're not really secure in who you are. And when you're not secure in who you are, when you don't have a healthy self-concept, when you have a barren self-concept, it absolutely spills out into all of the relationships around you. Now, this is really interesting because over the last couple of days, I was facilitating a workshop with a group of female leaders, and it was just awesome to connect with these ladies and to support them in their leadership growth and their development. And boy, I'll tell you, I learned a lot from them as well. But one of the ladies in that workshop really, really spoke to my heart when she was talking about the fact that the biggest thing that had helped her move from being a non-leader to a leader, from being a person who was just a follower to now somebody who was being followed by others, was that she began to shift out of an insecure mindset and into a secure mindset. When she was insecure, when she didn't see herself as a leader, when she didn't see herself as strong and capable and with all the ability that she needed, then she was constantly stuck and never able to rise up to that level that she was meant to be at. But when that began to shift and she began to see herself the way other people saw her, the way I think God sees her, the way the people that most mattered within her life saw her, everything began to change in her. And that's because something profound happens in our brain when we feel safe, when we feel secure, when we feel confident. That profound thing that happens is we can be innovative. We can tap into our best intelligence. We can create in an unbelievable way. But when we don't feel safe and when we walk around under this place of stress and anxiety, the best of us isn't the thing that comes out. And so much of this has to do with the story that you're telling yourself. And so I want to spend a couple of moments talking about braving a barren self-concept. Because how do you begin to shift your self-concept from an unhealthy place to a healthy place? How do you begin to shift your concept from a place where you're insecure to a place where you are secure. How do you unlearn what you have learned? Well, I want to focus in on 3 specific areas, because I think if we can realign these 3, just 3, I'll tell you what, it will absolutely change the way you see yourself, and you will move from a barren self-concept to a self-concept that is strong and that has vitality and that has health and that has strength, what we call a thriving mindset. The first thing that you've got to analyze is the words that have been spoken and are being spoken right now within your life. Words have unbelievable power. There is unbelievable power in the words that you speak, but also in the words that others speak over you and the words that other people have spoken over you. Why is this? Because words have power. As a matter of fact, the ancient Egyptians believed that the seat of the soul was the tongue, and it represented this idea of a rudder. It was directing where that individual was going. And so when I was directed in a way by my tongue, it would lead me to a certain place. And boy, I have seen that when people speak life over themselves, when they speak hope over themselves, when they speak health over themselves, everything begins to change. But when they speak unhealth over themselves, when they speak toxicity over themselves, when they speak death over themselves, I'll tell you what, everything goes down. And so, back to this workshop that I was doing with these ladies, this lady, it was so kind of cool because she broke out with her phone right there. She said, here's my list of daily affirmations. And she was so proud that for, I think the last workshop she had done with me was about 4 months prior. And from that point till now, she'd been using these daily affirmations that I had led her to create in that last workshop, and like vitamins, enriching her soul. I'll tell you what, those words were sparking a whole new self-concept. And even though, yes, she'd been raised in a very abusive environment and had a hard life, man, a very hard life, the words were changing her trajectory. Why? Because the tongue, the words that you speak actually guides and directs your life. And so if you want to brave a barren self-concept, I would say the starting point of changing that self-concept is starting with your words. Your words have power, and no longer listening to those negative words. I'll tell you what, the negative words, the negative Nellies in your life, the toxic Tims, the people who want to tear you down, I'll tell you what, those folks are not helpful, not even one bit. So that's the first thing we got to pay attention to. Pay attention to your words. The second thing that we got to do is pay attention to how we are treated. Now, we're talking about a barren self-concept. And it's really important that you understand that so much of your self-concept has been constructed by how people have treated you. So this is really important. Like, how have people treated you? Like, this is actually a legit question. I mean, some people just go through life just kind of doing their thing, never really slowing down long enough to think like, how do I get treated? And how do I actually want to be treated? And making sure that I surround myself with people who are going to treat me in the right way. Now, I'm not saying that you walk around like some kind of prima donna, expecting everybody to bow when you walk in the room and do this and do that. But I'll tell you what, every single one of you watching this video today, you know what? You deserve to be treated with respect. That is actually your entitlement. You deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve to be treated with honor. You deserve to be treated with dignity. You deserve to be treated like you are worth something, because guess what? You do. And yet, if you allow people in your life who aren't treating you properly, then what will happen? Well, your own sense of self-worth will go down. That just makes sense. But you know what? You're going to actually teach them that it's okay to treat you that way as well. And pretty soon you're going to end up blaming them for treating you this way, but really you allowed them to treat you that way. And so it's not about fault, but it's about taking responsibility, taking ownership and saying, hey, you don't get to treat me this way anymore. I'm not going to be nasty about it. I'm not going to, raise my arms up and start screaming and yelling. But what I am going to do is I'm going to put up this thing called a boundary. And I'll tell you, if you value yourself, you do that. But when you don't value yourself, it's amazing how you will let people treat you the way they feel like treating you. And so to brave a barren self-concept, number one, take a look at your words. Number two, take a look at how people are treating you. But number three, can I just go one step further? And I think it's really important that you think about, what are you believing? So number one, what are the words saying? Number two, how are people treating you? But number three, what are you allowing to seep into your belief system? Now, this is such a tricky area, because the reality of the situation is that we will never perform beyond our level of belief. So if I believe I suck, guess what? In my performance, I will suck. In my actions, I will suck. And that will show up and be reflected in everything I do. But if I believe that I can succeed and I can accomplish something, then guess what? I will do that. Now, here's the thing. Those beliefs are often formed based on the words that have been spoken and how we've been treated. So notice how all three of these things actually kind of link themselves together. I know myself, I had some negative words spoken over me when I was growing up, and I wasn't always treated that great. And so then what happened is that shaped and formed my belief system. I gave the words and the treatment of others power over me. I allowed their words and how they treated me to actually sort of shape my destiny. And that's because I gave it power by believing in it. And what I had to begin to do was to shift my self-concept by shifting my beliefs. Okay, I needed to choose to believe something differently. That's one reason why cognitive behavioral therapy is so powerful and it's so important. Why? Because it allows a person to reframe how they're believing. It's really about not just how you're thinking, but it's about what are the beliefs that are underlying the thoughts. Because the thoughts that you have aren't just random. It's not like you're just sitting there and just these thoughts come and you got nothing to do with it. It's actually that the thoughts flow out of the beliefs that are in the core of our being. And if we can shift our beliefs, then our thoughts will begin to shift. And if you can change your thinking, you can change your whole life. And so as we talk about this idea of braving a barren self-concept, number one, I hope that you'll pay attention to the words. Pay attention to the words that you're speaking, the words that you're allowing other people to speak over your life. Number two, pay attention to treatment. How are you treating yourself? How are you allowing other people to treat you? But maybe most important, pay attention to what you choose to believe, because every single event is neutral until you and I assign meaning to it. And when we assign meaning to it and we believe it, it begins to shape and impact our life. And so I'm not sure what your barren spot looks like here today, but today I want to talk about braving. I wanted to talk about braving a barren self-concept, because if you can change that self-concept, it's going to allow for a massive amount of growth to begin within your life. And that growth might be kind of like the Chinese bamboo tree. They actually say that a Chinese bamboo tree will grow under the surface for literally 5 years before, in like a matter of days, when it starts to grow above the surface. So it will take 5 years to get to a point where it breaks through the surface. But then when it does, in a matter of days, it will get to 90 feet tall. But that's 5 years of growth below the surface. So many times in our lives, we're like that. It's like barren. We're just pushing. It seems like we're not producing anything great. But what we got to do, friends, is we got to pay attention to the words. We got to pay attention to how we're treated, and we got to pay attention to what we believe. I hope this has been helpful to you. I'll tell you what, in Flourishing Workplace, flourishingworkplace.com, we work with teams, we work with organizations, we work with nonprofits, we work with for-profits to support changing the world by changing the workplace, creating a healthy, thriving, flourishing workplace. So go to our website, lots of free stuff there, and make sure you reach out and check us out so that we can connect with you and see how we can support you to create a flourishing workplace. Thank you so much for tuning in.